Hey everybody, Dirty Dan here. So today we've got a different project, as we always do. So this is a weird one. So this is a Hobbyline at Alco FA. These aren't super common, but they're not rare whatsoever. This one was originally red and silver, and I came along later when I had got it years and years ago. I had painted it white and green and made it look even worse. So it's time to get rid of that. We are going to strip the entire shell down and clean all of the internals and completely repaint this thing. So it's like a restoration, but we're gonna give it a repaint as well because I'm not ruining anything. Like, what is this? What is this? The Christmas FA. It's quite bad. I do know I've replaced the drive shaft with the drive shaft from a Rivarossi 440. I think I had a spare one, and it actually works quite well. The original drive tubing was bad. I replaced the coupler. So this thing's in surprisingly good condition on its own with the terrible paint not in mind. But yeah, this thing needs a desperate repaint. And I actually tested my paint stripper. I had to make sure it would work on this. It does, because it doesn't work on all plastics, but it'll work for this instance. So we can get all the paint off of this. It's I don't know why but it likes to melt certain plastics, but it won't melt other ones. It's strange. So without further ado, let's get this thing apart. Okay, so we've got the whole thing disassembled, and I found a couple things that I want to fix. So one of which being the motor has a little bit of slack when it moves back and forth, and I'm going to have to add some washers in here. So I might actually end up having to make some because I actually don't have any on hand. But after looking at everything, the overall condition of this engine, excuse me, is very good. All of the mechanical parts look to be in extremely good shape. They just need a good cleaning. We got to get all the paint off of these trucks. What we're going to do is prioritize the parts that have paint on them first. And we'll get those stripping in paint stripper. And then we'll worry about the other stuff, like all the mechanical bits, and we'll get to work on those. Like, this brush plate has been repaired before. I believe it may have been by me. So yeah, we'll have to take a look at that. But I want to make sure this thing is very mechanically sound, because I'm really gonna go all out with this thing. I want to do a good job with this, make it a very nice engine that I can run. Because genuinely, the quality of build here is very good. They really did a good job when they built this thing, built to last. And it looks like it was built rather cheaply, but it was built well. I mean, this thing is just, it's a very nice engine. Hobbyline engines do not get a lot of credit. I will give them more credit than they've been given. So anyways, let's get back to work. Okay, so I wanted to film this section in video so I could show you guys my process for removing paint. So what we've got is paint stripper. I like to use Citri Strip. This stuff's good, but it's not for plastic. But I found certain plastics take better to it than others. Like, for example, if you were to put this stuff on like a Bachmann shell, it would ruin it. It melts the plastic. But this stuff and AHMC liner shells, I know, it won't melt them. They work perfect with them. So you got to make sure you shake this stuff up before you use it. Okay, we'll get a little bit there. And then I typically will just use like a brush or something to apply it. And with plastic stuff, I usually tend to be more careful. I don't like to let stuff sit for super long with the plastic stuff, just for fear it could mess up the plastic, you know, worst comes to worst, even though I've tested it. I'll usually do a test area first. And if you see the plastic start to like change color, that's a bad sign. You should probably remove it. So that's my 2 cents at least on paint stripping. So I'm gonna apply all this and we'll get back to work. So I was just scraping some of the paint off of this shell, and I discovered something. So look at that. If that's not a PRR keystone, I don't know what is. That's pretty cool. So I just thought that was really neat. I'd share. You know, you never know what you're going to find stripping the paint off of these older models. You know, you can find just about anything. Okay, it is now probably a good hour later, and I finally have all the pieces nice and clean. As you can see, all 4 of the wheels here are nice and shiny. All of the gears perfectly clean and degreased. The motor has been fully gone through. I cleaned all the brushes, resurfaced the entire commutator, polished it up, nice and shiny, and installed a washer that should help the slack on the motor. Cleaned up the headlight a little bit, cleaned up the motor magnets. They're not perfect, but they're much, much better. So I think we're ready to put this thing together, and once we're done with that, we'll finally get around to the shell. Okay, here it is. This thing looks fantastic. We're just going to test the chassis now. We're just going to, once this is finished, we'll go get rid of that awful paint stripper up the shell. But let's see if it works. Whoops, I forgot. Got to get this off the track. Thank you again, Tyler. This thing's awesome. Anyways, back to it. Oh, we have a short. I would have to guess it's somewhere around there on that brush there. Yeah, we got nothing. Okay. Well, let me see if I can figure out where the short's coming from. Okay, after some tinkering, as you can see, thing's running fantastic. It was just a little bit of a short between one of the brushes. It's having a few small issues. As you'll notice, it may stop. Yeah. See, it doesn't like switches very much. I may add more contacts to the front truck in the future because it only contacts from the single motor truck, and that's exactly why it just doesn't have very good power pickup. But I can probably modify the front truck to pick up power, and I wouldn't feel really bad about it. I mean, it would probably improve the engine itself. But honestly, for what it is, this engine runs quite well. And then the other only issue is that the motor is getting quite warm, which I do not like. I'm not totally sure if that's just the brushes settling and making better contact with the armature. It could be completely wrong, but that's what I can tell from right now. But as you can see, the reverse and forward, no issue. And it has some nice slow speed. Well, kinda. But anyways, let's get this shell cleaned up now. And just like that, it's all finished. So as you can see, I've stripped all of the paint off and the thing's running now. It's running much better. I've gotten all the ladders installed on the sides. And, well, I'll say for now, it's much of an improvement, and now it's actually ready to be repainted. And I'm sure that's what you guys were waiting to hear. So, of course, the scheme I chose was none other than the Pennsylvania. No, I'm just kidding. For real, I'm actually painting this thing in the Tuscan Red Pennsylvania Railroad single stripe livery. I would like to have this to contrast my set of Tyco F9As that are in the Brunswick Green single stripe scheme. So I think it would be very nice to make this into a Tuscan Red scheme. And possibly even get a trailing unit for it. That would be fantastic. Now, there's a couple modifications I know I'm going to be doing to it. No, I am not adding separate handrails. Not happening. I don't want to actually mess up the shell of this engine. I will be adding window glass, possibly drilling out the headlight hole to make it an actual functional headlight. I have not decided yet, but it might happen. I don't know. As well as, I'll be adding a fuel tank, as this engine was never came from the factory with a fuel tank. So, I'll have to manufacture my own, which I have a 3D printer, so that won't be much of an issue. That will greatly improve the look of the engine, as it looks quite weird with no fuel tank underneath there. And I think there actually is supposed to be one there, but mine never came with one, so I'll have to find something for it. But with all of that in mind, it is a very, very nice engine for what it is, and I'm quite excited to paint it. Now, I may do the pickup modification because it continues to have issues going over switches. But I'm very happy with the result. I hope you folks enjoyed the video, and look forward to more restorations and stuff soon. So anyways, folks, thanks for watching.